Good morning. I can't hear you. You are muted. You are muted. Can you hear me? You are muted. Okay. Check your mic.
That should be better. How's it?
I hear you. I hear you.
Hey there.
All right. And we're recording, but I will.
Okay.
How are you doing today?
Good. Just finished the shift, and I'm going to take you around quickly for a tour before it goes. There's going to be there's a Tim mobile here, like for EMS. Got an iced coffee. I mean,
Is that an
they come
aroma
around and
coffee?
say, it's actually better than the aroma iced coffee.
There's something better than aroma iced coffee.
This is better iced coffee. I'm telling you.
All right.
Sweet.
Good to know.
All righty. Why don't we get started?
Love it. So you just finished a shift, yes?
That is right.
Okay.
So I'm back at the base station.
In Ashdod?
In Ashdod, correct. There are ambulances at 2 or 3 locations throughout the city, but dispatch and the major ambulance base station is at one specific location right by Ashdod Hospital. Why don't, if it's okay with you, why don't I give you a quick tour?
Please.
So you see what's going on. We just literally, as we speak, have had shift change. So there'll be a bit more people wandering around, but as long as you're okay with the sound, and
Absolutely.
if not, tell me. Let me give you a quick look. Okay. So
Okay.
turn the camera around. Yeah, I don't know if I can turn the camera around on Zoom. It doesn't let me.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll just do it differently. It's okay. So what you're looking at here is the parking lot of the station.
Right.
And you'll see a bunch of empty spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Now, or there's an ambulance, but then there's some civilian cars, and then there's a gap in other cars. The reason for that is that they're purposely spreading the ambulances out. So, for example, one of them is way down there. You see that yellow vehicle in the corner, right? Other ones are out on the street. I'll just walk you out there now. Because the idea is that if a missile is incoming and it takes out part of the station, you want to minimize the number of ambulances that are damaged. So, as a result, a lot of the vehicles, a lot of the trucks are parked out here on the road.
Okay. See. Yeah. Never together in one spot. Yeah. Has the station been hit at all?
No.
Okay.
The station has one reinforced room, central room. The rest of it, if it is hit, is not considered protected.
Right.
But so far, thankfully, we've been doing really well. The one time I was here for an incoming, you just heard the boom you actually felt the boom of Iron Dome doing the intercept above the station. Now, we have a few different kinds of ambulances, but before I get into the clinical stuff, let me show you the most important vehicle in the station at this present moment. And that is the snack mobile. Hang on, where is it?
Did you say the snack mobile?
I did say the snack mobile because these guys just pulled up and just opened up now.
Really?
They go from station to station and they feed everybody. Right? So the whole crew showed up. Hang on a second. חבר'ה, תגידו שלום לקהילה היהודית בהמילטון, Ontario. Hey. Okay.
Shalom
So these are the guys. These are the people that make things happen.
Okay? Amazing.
So that's the one vehicle they just pulled up. They just opened up a few minutes ago, so everyone's really grabbing their coffee. Another one that's really very cool, and it's not the kind of stuff you talk about sort of in the disaster setting and so on, is this one. I'm just looking at it. Here we go. What I'm coming up on now. And what this is a wish ambulance. And what they do is they will take patients who are sick with something severe, palliative, whatever, and want to do something that requires transport. So let's say they want to go to the Kotel to pray. They want to go to the beach, something like that. This is the vehicle that will take them. If it can technically be done, these guys will figure out how to take them there.
The
So
Wishmobile.
It's a wishmobile, exactly. Now, the ambulances come in two colors. Anything yellow is intensive. So, for example, this one there, that's the kind of unit we've been on. I'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
These are mobile ICUs, and they can do pretty much what any one of our ICUs can do. Not forever, because there's limited oxygen, limited power.
Right.
But generally speaking, they can do pretty much any of that. And so those are the yellow ambulances. You can see there's a few of them in the lot here. But the ones we saw on the street were white ambulances, and they are basic life support. So they can do scoop and run. They may be able to get an IV, but they won't intubate it or anything more intensive. Then you have these guys, because traffic being what it is, there's a whole bunch of motorcycle-based units that have everything is standardized. So standardized gear in the box.
Amazing.
And they can deploy pretty quickly to anywhere because it's mobile. And we do have a fire truck here, and we also do have a crew out today. For example, I was out at the and we have a crew out at the fire station, so we both can deploy from both sides.
Right.
We have a variety of. Oh, it's not here right now. There's a car that is specifically labeled as being for with bullet protection. So if you're deploying to a hot site, the car is supposed to give you more protection than otherwise.
Right.
So that's the sort of the outline of what's available here. What we are doing is we're going out on the ambulances as typically a third hand. In Israel, currently, every single potential ambulance is deployed. In other words, if it was in storage, if it was in a garage, if it was meant to be retired as a vehicle, doesn't matter. They're all deployed. I'm just going to get out of the way. Stuff is moving. And the problem isn't the vehicle. The problem is getting someone to staff it.
Right.
So right now, they have recruited 600 Milumnikim reservists to do to staff, but it's still not enough. That's where we come in. We're another pair of hands. The docs go out with a senior and a junior paramedic. Sometimes we'll go out on the white vehicles because they just need another pair of hands, but it's limited. The degree to which we can help there is limited because we don't have the drugs, we don't have the equipment. But we go out and we respond to the site. Everybody is trained on the same thing, and I'm going to try and get a key to one of the ambulances in 2 seconds, and I'm going to take you inside one of the ICU ones, so you have an idea. Because just to give you an idea of the capacity, they can do pretty much anything I can do in my resuscitation room in the emergency department, but they do it in the field. And one of the units is, in fact, a 4-bed unit, which is like a basically small ICU in a rural hospital. They have that on wheels. This is actually, I just got inside the station. Just give you a quick look.
Right.
Hang on, I'm just going to see if I can find a guy who has the keys. I already know where Yaniv is. I don't. Okay, I want to see if I can get into the rig to show people what the rig is. I think so. Are you the guys? Are you in the corner? Are you in the corner? Okay. Sorry about that. That's a bit of a distraction. Sorry to the Zoom audience. Let me see if I can show you one other thing. Every building has a mamad, a secure room. So this is ours. So when the siren goes off, you see people, because of added staff issues, people are bunking down here as well. Accommodation was an issue because a lot of people are showing up. They're never this full, right? Windows, as you can see, they have sliding steel doors. Is it
underground? Is that room underground?
No. This is the hallway.
Okay.
This is the hallway that I was in before, but the room itself is reinforced.
Yeah. Okay.
So when the siren goes off, you just walk to the to the mamad,
Mhm.
and you close down the secure room, and you close down. Usually, by the time we're all in, it's about time to head out again. And so that's sort of what it's like where we are. If you look over on the horizon, you'll see that is Asuta Hospital. So we are actually very,
Oh.
very near.
I was going to ask, where's your point where you're taking people when you're in the ambulance?
Well, it depends. I was in Tel Shomel earlier today for transport that needed to go there, but typically we go nearby because the point is to keep the vehicle on the road. So a long transport means a long time that we don't have access.
Right.
So yeah, the vehicle is locked. I will find the driver if I can. But it's, so we do go to Asuta Hospital typically. On occasion, we don't take the patient at all. I mean, sometimes patients will decline. Sometimes they don't need it. If we can downgrade from our unit to a white ambulance, we will, because that frees our unit up sooner rather than later.
Right.
And that way, it just frees things up for the ICU units to move. Not sure what else I can tell you. I mean, that's sort of the long and the short of it. The work it's regular emergency department work. It's nothing particularly unique.
But you're in a war. You're in a war, Daniel.
Well, yes, but between that, I know it sounds terrible, but it really is. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play, right? So I just want to walk up to one of the units if they're not going out and ask if they're okay with this.
Okay.
Excuse me for a second.
Sure.
חבר'ה, אני על זום עם הקהילה היהודית שלי בקנדה. אני יכול להראות להם את ה... Okay. Okay, so hang on a sec, I'm going to flip this around.
Okay.
תודה רבה. חבר'ה, אתם הולכים להיות ממש מפורסמים. אני על זום עם הקהילה שלי בקנדה, הם רוצים לראות את האמבולנס. זה בסדר עם שניכם? Okay. Okay, so this is the inside of the ambulance. I'm just going to park myself here for a second.
Okay. Wow.
You have all the monitoring capabilities, all the airway and intubation capability that you have in an ICU. You have oxygen small tanks. You have back doors. Chemical and biological warfare equipment is there. You have the stretcher. You have a drug box with all of the usual drugs. And just to point out, underneath here, helmets, flak jackets are always in proximity.
Right.
That's not the kit bag? No, oh, yes. Separate kit, only pediatric gear. That's unique for kids. Those are the flak jackets that we hate. I hate because, as you can see, getting into it, it's not as easy.
Wow.
And then there's the neck guard that always seems to get in the way. And everything is computerized in the sense that we have it all on a tablet. We get our directions through Waze. Drugs. There are drugs, as you can see, a pretty full
a very robust cabinet up there.
It's stuff that, again, the EMS crews in Canada, the EMS crews in Canada would drool over, because it really is some pretty aggressive medications. So that's the tour of the station. What else can I tell you?
So you've been there for a week and a half. How do you know so much? How did you get, integrated so quickly?
Oh, well, welcome to Israel. Operationally, we arrived on the Wednesday night. They took us up to Jerusalem, where the Mada is Magen David Adom, the Red Star of David. So they took us up to there where the headquarters were. And Thursday morning, we had a quick overview of the equipment, of some of the basic protocols, of the safety protocols, particularly because this is, as you mentioned, there is the war, and that part of it is usually foreign to most of our training. And then by Thursday afternoon, we deployed on ambulances in Jerusalem. because that's where we were at that moment in time. Friday morning, we drove down to Ashdod, and Friday afternoon, we deployed all the ambulances in Ashdod. The ambulances are pretty much carbon copies one of the other. You can drop out of one and into another, and you'll find your way around. Literally where every drug is, if you notice the third stop in the top, you can do it blind. Where every pocket in the gear is exactly the same.
Wow.
And I haven't memorized it all. I mean, these guys memorize it all because they live it, but I've memorized enough of it for the routine stuff so I can grab stuff quickly. And 90% of it work is schlepping, right? It is, get to the patient, drag the gear to the patient. You would have to do on site, get the patient on the stretcher, and get the stretcher back to the hospital. So it's a lot of, and that, I mean, for that, anybody can do that. That's just heavy weight carrying. So the integration was pretty good. Clinically, because we're all emergency physicians, we have the same skill set, and it sort of fits well. And more important than the same skill set, as emergency personnel, we have the same sort of way of thinking, which is kind of quirky, but it fits, right?
Good.
The sense of humor here is everything. It can be as serious as you think. They will almost never lose a sense of humor. The only time I've seen people go totally sort of, they're always focused on task, but where everything else was taken out. We had a 10-year-old vital signs absent patient that was resuscitated by another, by the way, local physician, Ira Price, and in that one, all humor stops at that. But aside from that, you just go on with the job. I was out on a call, and the sirens went off. So you pull the car over, you grab your flak suit, you get into it, or in my case, you struggle into it, and you leave the vehicle and take shelter on the side, and you just wait. And then you hear the boom of the intercept above you. And then after, they say 2 minutes. I don't know if they actually waited 2 minutes, but then you get back in the car and you keep going. Because the task hasn't disappeared, the task is still there, so just get it done.
Right.
And that it really is just they just get it done, and that's what makes them so unstoppable. There's no agonizing over it. There's enough agonizing all the time, just thinking about that Saturday, and everybody knows somebody, especially here because I'm near the south, right? Everybody knows somebody who was affected. But they park it, and they just get on with work.
Because you have to.
Yeah, that's it. It's just, you do the job in front of you.
I know your time there is coming to an end on the weekend after Shabbat. How are you feeling about leaving?
Oh, very mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Very mixed feelings. It is amazing how close you get to people here. One of my first day in this station, I was on a white ambulance because the yellows were staffed, and I went out with a BLS crew, a basic life support crew, and we came back, dropped off a patient, came back to the station, and then I was getting my stuff out of the rig, and the lead paramedic was already in the station, and the sirens went off. And the first word out of her mouth was, Daniel, her first word was to make sure that I was okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, they take it for granted here, but I don't take it for granted. I mean, that's sort of the concept of team, the taking care of each other. You laugh like crazy here, and that's also true of the emergency department in some ways. But
right,
it really is a very, very strong team. And that's partly why we integrated. Because I'm quite frank with them when I get on board, is that there are things that they do that I don't. I hadn't started an IV until I got here. I hadn't started an IV since medical school because I have excellent nursing colleagues who always get the IV. They can get an IV in a statue. I don't need to do anything. But here, it's one of the jobs.
Oh,
So I find
how's
myself
that
starting an
going?
IV. So, and I told them, I'm not good at this. Not a problem. You do the next one. And so they walk me through it. If there's a rush, they won't walk me through it. But
Amazing.
everybody does their own thing to help everyone else out. And the other thing about that is really quite striking is the generosity.
Hmm.
When we got to Jerusalem, literally until while we were in the air, they still didn't know where we were going to put us. A woman in a religious neighborhood donated her apartment, like a basement apartment, like a storeroom that was made into an apartment. It was tiny. That's all we needed because it had 3 beds, it had a shower, it had a toilet, had light. We arrived late. Within 10 minutes, another person from the building, from a neighboring unit, says, "What can I do for you? Can I get you food?" Well, they've already left us food. Can I do your laundry? We just got here. We don't have laundry. But then he said, I know. You're in the basement. And there was no reception. Here's my Wi-Fi password. And he gave us his Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we could reach home and say, this is that we're all okay.
Volunteers are completely embraced and completely supported.
Unbelievably. The next morning, because the place was really tiny, I grabbed a cup of tea and I went outside and I sat outside to just have a cup of tea and a bit of quiet. A woman comes from another building, and this is an Orthodox neighborhood, so they're very community oriented. And she says to me, "Baruch haba, kol hakavod." Welcome and kol hakavod is.
The whole neighborhood knows you're a volunteer.
Yeah, literally the whole neighborhood knows I'm a volunteer. We come by Thursday night, there's chulent and some fresh baked challahs waiting for us. I mean, incredible.
Wow.
Here, we got to Ashdod, and again, we're the first group coming after. By now, things are sorted out, but at the very beginning, they had other priorities. Their priority was to sort out the operational stuff. So everything in terms of getting ambulances working and crew and all that all was perfect. Where they're going to house us, really, that's a second-tier problem. So the original plan was to put us on cots in that mamad, in that safe room. But there's one shower for the entire station. You saw how many people are here, right? Not ideal. So when somebody heard this, other paramedics, literally, this happened to me alone twice, turned around and said, "Here are the keys to my apartment. I'm working night shift. Just go." They don't know me from Adam Dad. They've never seen me before that instant. Take my key. We ended up getting invited to go to an apartment where some French docs were staying, and hopefully they may join us on the call.
Oh, fantastic! I hope so.
And then people who knew them invited all of us for Shabbat. You're in a foreign city. It was one of the most joyous Shabbatot I've ever had. Totally regardless of the fact that the sirens went off twice. You go into the room, you wait out, you come back out, you didn't even get cold. So it really was the welcoming aspect of things. Between that and the absolute resolve of people that they are going to deal with this, and that is that.
Mm-hmm. We're getting through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Haredi and secular divide is gone in this context.
Right.
A fair number of the ambulance crew are Haredim. Haredi people came from New York to staff the EMS outpost in Sderot. Sderot, for those who don't know, the joke is when you try to reassure your family that you're going south, you're going to be safe, say, "I won't go past Sderot," because past Sderot is nothing. Past Sderot is Gaza.
Yeah.
So they're the very, very front line. They have seconds of response time when the sign goes off. They're Orthodox from New York. Now, for those who don't know on this call, prior to the war, there was a bit of a divide between the secular and the Orthodox. But now, these guys are everywhere.
Wow.
Typically, the Orthodox don't serve in the army. Well, 2,000 of them have drafted themselves as volunteers as of past Monday. So, I mean, the war is unifying the country.
Yes, it's a great unifier. It's amazing to see and hear about. Okay, we're gonna check in with you after you've had some rest. You're at the end of your shift, so we're going to be online with our community at 3 p.m. here this afternoon, and I expect you'll be in your PJs by then, and we'll have a talk and have some Q&A. Thank you so much for
No problem at all.
your shift. Thank you.
See you in a few hours.
Okay,
Bye.
we'll see you later. להתראות.
Bye.